Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have entered the greatest decade of all time. And now, you have a responsibility. And that responsibility is none other than to be super rad here in Miami Vice with Rikki Thrash, the greatest streamer of the 1980s. Ladies and gentlemen, it feels good. It feels good. Feels great indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so good to be back here at an abnormal hour. We got the sun shining. We got the music playing. We got the flamingos flamingoing. Everything's set. Everything's rad. And everything is awesome. Because today is the greatest day of your life. All right? I don't care what anybody tells you. You are totally tubular, man. I tell you what, listen, I was walking down the street last night, all right, here in Miami Vice, seeing what I could get into, you know, the cops calling me, seeing if I could, you know, help them out and stuff, but I was like, listen, all right, listen, I'm a little busy, okay? I got a bunch of chicks, you know, that I'm walking with, you know, and next thing you know, flying across the street, 100,000 miles an hour. You see a red 84 Cameo flying. Next thing you know, 3 cops. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, this is crazy. So you know what I did? I'll tell you what I did. Actually, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You know what I did? I said, ladies, give me a second, all right? Give me a chance to break out of this situation. And so I find myself a secret passageway, dark alley. And you know what I do? I go into the dark alley and I come out with my rock hero uniform and I save the night. Fighting crime, rock and rollin'. It's the 1980s, baby, and it's great to be alive. Sweet Miami. Scylla says, Rikki, heads up. My phone is on 9%. Plus, my afternoons are usually busy. If I'm unresponsive in the chat, that probably means that my phone has died. Hold on. Okay, 1 second here. Hold on. Let's get serious for a second. Now let's cut the jokes for a second, all right? I don't really know, you know, how you might be watching me on a phone, but listen, all I know is that this cellular device, it calls people. It's pretty cool. It's the latest technology. And, you know, Tony got me set up with a lot of futuristic technology, but he didn't really fill me in on the whole phone situation. I wasn't really sure what he meant. But now it's starting to make sense. You know, talking to my fellow Thrashers, it's starting to catch on a little bit. It's starting to, I don't know. It's starting to make me realize some things, Thrashers. First of all, it's about 4 p.m. here on the East Coast in Miami. And I don't know about you, but I know Tony, he's always on a yacht partying with a bunch of chicks while I'm out here streaming and partying myself with you guys. But, you know, what are the odds? What are the odds? Maybe Tony's around. Maybe he's next door. Maybe he's walking down the street. I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, let's give Tony a call, check in with him, see how the stream's running, you know, because listen, it's a two-man show. And a lot of the times, you know, I got my whole team, you know, helping me out with this stuff. But a lot of the times, it's just a two-man show. You know what I'm saying? It's just me and Tony running the show, and that's all we can ask for. But listen, let's give Tony a call. And let's see what he is up to. But first, I want to wish Farah a happy birthday. All right, I saw in Discord earlier. I know she was hanging around, and I dropped in today on my daily drop-in. And you know, I was just typing away, you know, in the Discord as you do in 2025 or whatever year it is you guys are watching from. But anyways, you know, so I'm typing away, and I noticed Farah, the one from day one, has a legendary birthday today. So listen, chat, I want you to wish Farah a happy birthday. All right? She deserves it. She deserves it. So chat, wish Farah a happy birthday, and we're gonna get rolling with a little phone call with Tony, see what he's up to, see what's going on in his world. You know, he's supposed to be checking out the stream tonight, but you know, with Tony, yeah, you guys know Tony, right? All right, let's check in with Tony, all right? Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, 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 beep, beep. Tony, man, it's good to hear your voice. Listen, I thought you might have been in a little bit of danger after last night. I know that little fiasco we had with the robbers. It went down a little more heated than we anticipated. But listen, Tony, it's good to know you're still with us, and it's good to know that we are live here on stream in 2025 with the people of the future. Listen, Tony, it's the 1980s, all right? You provided my time machine right here. It's a very impressive piece of technology. I tell you, I don't know what you did, Tony, but whatever you did, it's working out. We're able to talk to the people of the future, and you know, I don't know what to say, man. I'm speechless, truly. But Tony, it's good to hear that you're actually not on a yacht partying with a bunch of chicks right now, because I do have some important words for you, okay? But first, a word from our chat. We got some anniversaries in the chat, Tony. We got some birthdays and anniversaries. I mean, that's saying something. Listen, we got the greatest community of all time, the 1980s community. I mean, we are untouchable, baby. Tony, you're doing a great job. Listen, where are you right now? Oh, you're on the way to the yacht part. I mean, that makes sense. At least you're... What's that, Tony? Oh, yeah. You're not going to Tony, you're not going to deliver the pizza this time? First of all, Tony, I find that absolutely ridiculous because you never deliver the pizza, okay? We're sitting on stream starving each week. You know, I'm expecting my pineapple pizza. You know, it's very, very controversial in the chat. I realize that. Especially, you know, when you go up north, you know, you might pick a little feathers with a few people. But listen, Tony, one of these days I'm gonna need you to deliver my pizza. Okay, I mean, it's unacceptable. But Tony, I tell you what, man, we got a good workout in today. You know, we hit a little arms. You know, we're feeling the pump. You know, this morning I woke up and I looked in the mirror for 45 minutes and just staring at myself and just really admiring my biceps. But at the same time, Tony, do you hear that? Hold on, I'm getting another call. Hello. This is the police force? Yes, this is Rikki. You're after him. Wait, he broke loose? You're telling me that the guy last night that you guys took care of after I raided the streets and found the guy, locked him up, you grabbed him, you're telling me he's on the loose right now? I'll see what I can do, but no promises. This is a very delicate situation. A lot of lives are at stake.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
You're exactly right. Life does move fast, but we're gonna get this guy. And we're just gonna have to move a little faster. We're gonna have to move a little faster. That's right, okay? Look, I'm gonna stream. I know, it's crazy. Yeah, it's this whole thing I got going. You know, Tony set me up and everything. Yeah, how's the family, by the way? Yeah, they're good? Good. Yeah, tell little Johnny I said hello. But yeah, we'll get on that as soon as possible. And yeah, it's good to hear from you, police guy. George. That's right, yeah. So I'm, you know, seen a lot of people in the last few days. It's all good though. It's all good. George, you take it easy. All right, tell your wife I said hello. All right, later, George. We get Tony back here. Tony, look, the guy's back on the loose. Turns out they didn't do their job last night. They let him slip. All right. Listen, I get it. Everybody makes mistakes here and there, but this is not okay. Tony, you got to skip that party tonight. There's a reason. I had it in the back of my head this whole night, this whole day. I knew that something wasn't right. Something wasn't right, chat. Something wasn't right. And so I scheduled my stream a little bit earlier in the day, just in case. And Tony, it turns out Turns out that we're not finished. We have work to do, Tony. It's time to get serious. Tony, meet me at the docks, 8 p.m. tonight, okay? Look, I'll figure it all out. I need to think. I need to drive. I need to drive into the sunset to think, okay? But after that, we'll come up with a plan, all right? After thinking, I need a moment to just drive into the sunset. Okay, don't ask questions, Tony. I need that moment. You know, this is the 1980s. I mean, like, what do you expect? I just need a second. All right, I'm gonna hop in my T-top 82 Camaro and I'm gonna drive into the sunset to think and let this sink in. I'm gonna let this process, Tony. And then we'll get them. All right, Tony, next time I see you, we'll be at 8 p.m. at the docks. Bring extra firepower. We're gonna need it. Later. Ladies and gentlemen, looks like we got a little situation on our hands. And, it's not looking good. No, that's where you're wrong. Tony did not fail. I did not fail, all right? The Force failed. Last night. In fact, I wouldn't even put it on them. I know this guy. I've known this guy. All right, there's something that you guys don't exactly know. I've known this criminal for the past 5 years. 5 years. I've known him. His name is Michael. And his last name is Danger. But ladies and gentlemen, what they don't know is they have the greatest superhero of all time on this case. And I got their back. There was a reason I scheduled this stream a little bit earlier. All right, I wanted the best for this city, the city of Miami. I wanted the best, and I'm gonna put my life on the line for this city and this country because I love it. All right? I want what they want and what every man wants, what every man who spilt his blood and guts wants. For them to love this country as much as we love it. That's what I want. Joe, you were exactly correct. I did build this city on rock and roll. This is my city. And we're not gonna let it slip. All right? The 1980s are gonna continue to shine forever. And that is why you are here. That is why you are watching at this moment of time. All right? We're on a mission together.
SGT Quencher 100 has donated $5.00 and says the sergeant has arrived and he wants push-ups before you get started today.
Sergeant Quencher, coming in hot with the $5 donation. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of the ones who love this country and love the 1980s, I tell you, a big argument. I'd have to say Sergeant Quencher is on up there. Always giving the opportunity to get better with push-ups. Sergeant Quencher, you missed a whole freaking 30 minutes, man. Where you been? I missed you. We all missed you. Sergeant Quencher, thank you for the $5 donation. You know what that does, Sergeant? It helps us all. It helps us all save the 1980s, and it helps us save the city, ultimately saving the country and ultimately the world. So let's play some music, Sergeant. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rikki Thrash. And you are here for one reason, and one reason alone.
Cindy has donated $5.99 and says love rock hero.
Cindy always knows the meaning of true music. Cindy loves the rock hero, huh? Let's just say I happen to know him myself. How do I have this? Let's just say he's a good friend. And he's got one common goal with all of you and me: to save the city with rock and roll. At 8 p.m., I'm gonna meet Tony at the docks. And we're gonna decide right then and there do we want to be selfish and say to ourselves that this city doesn't need us? Or am I gonna look Tony in the eyes and tell him that whatever happens, it's for the good of the people? And Tony, knowing him for 15 years, he's either gonna do one of two things, ladies and gentlemen. He's gonna shake my hand and agree. Or he's not even gonna allow any doubt in his mind that we are the duo for the job. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony has got my back, as I have his, and as I have yours. And with this mission in front of us, we're gonna save the 1980s. And as I drive into my city night with my 82 T-Top Camaro. With my 82 T-Top Camaro. Looking into the sunset. And wishing the greatest for this country. But first, I must prepare, and I must establish what it means to be the rock hero. Ladies and gentlemen, as you see, we got the world against us. And the only way we can stop the modern music of your time from taking over the 80s is to continue to rock and roll to no avail. All right, it doesn't matter what the weather, all right? It is about 90 degrees here in Miami. You see what I mean? See? I promise you one thing, chat. I promise you one thing. It's a windy night here in Miami. And we got a job to do. We got to bring back rock and roll. We got to bring back 80s synth-driven music. That's the main goal, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what we're going to do tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stream. Good evening, good afternoon for wherever you are in the world. I want to welcome you to the stream.
SGT Quencher 100 has donated $5.00 and says careful there, Ricky. I don't think that chair can handle the 80. It'll be blown away and the door will slam.
I think Sergeant Quencher's got a point. Unless I just stand here and acknowledge that the wind is just too strong of a force. Sergeant Quencher is onto something. He says that chair is weak. It's pitiful. Just like my opponent tonight. When I fight the crime and I lock him up for good this time. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no mistakes tonight. All right? We're gonna do this right. We're gonna do it my way. Excuse me. We're gonna do it our way. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, my name is Rikki Thrash, and I want to welcome you to the greatest stream of the 80s.
Just relax, amigo. You want to talk? We'll talk. I'm a sucker for good conversation.
You recognize this voice?
Are you bringing the television cameras in here now? Come on, bring it in!
Well, let's just say Cobra and I have a similar mentality. Marion Cobretti. We do things similarly. We cut around the bush. We do things different. We don't go by the book, you see, because that's what gets us in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We write our own book, and we call it the greatest decade of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a good night to be alive, I'll tell you that much. It's a great night to be alive, and if you're alive tonight, I want you to drop not only the greatest, not only the greatest, what do you guys call it? In 2025, emojis. You guys already have, I don't even have to say anything. You guys are already dropping what we do here on stream. We wear our sunglasses at night. And obviously, you know, we're streaming in the day tonight. A little change for the Thrashers. Ladies and gentlemen, drop the sunglasses emoji in the chat if you're having a great time tonight. Technically, you know, it's almost 5. You know, that's nighttime. You know, we're about to settle into the evening after a freaking hot afternoon. We're about to fast break into the night and fight some crime and save the city of Miami. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a good night. Listen, we're gonna do some jams tonight. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna hang out. And who knows? Who knows what we'll get into? But we're just gonna experiment a little bit, play around with some keys. You know, maybe do some loops, maybe play some bass. In fact, now that we're talking about bass, the greatest instrument in the world. Let's have a chat. It's good to see all the sunglasses in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. That means you're feeling alive tonight. And it's good to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest stream you're ever gonna see. And I wanna get caught up on chat. Ladies and gentlemen, Michelle is in the chat, JP, Oscar, Cindy, Farah, Joe, JJ, Vapor Vice, Sarah. We got everybody. What's up, everybody? I'm glad you're with me. I'm glad you're with me tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about 90 degrees here in Miami. It's a scorcher out there. It's a scorcher. Listen, I got too much headroom right now. I'm aware of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get up from the couch and fix the camera. You know, I usually have an assistant, Tony, that does all this stuff, but you know, he's on his way to a yacht party right now, you know, a bunch of chicks and everything, you know, it's the whole 9 yards. You know Tony. You know Tony. All right, okay. Yeah, I can live with that. My head's almost cut off, but listen, it doesn't matter. As long as you got a bass in your hands and you're talking to the greatest community of all time, I think you're pretty set. This is a 1987 Fender Boxer. It's great. Sergeant Quitcher, coming in hot. I'm not sure why I didn't read anything though. What happened? What's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, is it gonna read? Or are we lost? Oh, you know what? I think I know why. Sergeant Quinter says, chat, drop those sunglasses emojis in honor of Corey Hart for creating one of the best 80s songs ever. Listen, I'm not sure why that didn't get read aloud, but I'm gonna fix it right now. That's what I'm gonna do, okay? So you hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the music. As you see to the left side of your screen, you see the most epic hat just sitting there graciously like a wild gazelle right next to the candle. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to go ahead and announce that those hats are available today at rikkythrash.com. That's right, you could be wearing that exact hat. That's the one. I could be shipping that one to you right now. And you could be Thrash 2.0. That's the goal, ladies and gentlemen. That's really the goal.
Looking upon these frail creatures, one would not think that they could contain such power. One could rule the universe with it.
What is going on?
Find them for me and destroy them.
All right. I fixed it. So next time, we don't gotta leave anybody out. You know, if somebody wants to donate, then they will have the honor. You know what, let me go ahead and raise this up a little bit. You know, it's cutting off my head just slightly. And we don't like cutting people's heads off around here. You know, it's not advised, but you never know. It's a cruel. Never mind. We're just not even going to. We're not even. Let's not bring out the guillotine tonight. I mean, that's all fun and games until you get your head chopped off. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't this bass sound freaking sick? I mean, it's probably the greatest bass player of all time playing it. That's probably the reason, but just say it's like, you know, little Jimmy just stumbling upon the couch here in Miami Vice in my penthouse, and let's just say, you know, he wanted to pick it up and play. Well, it might not sound as good if he didn't practice. But you're looking at a gentleman who has put in years of practice on the bass, and I tell you, but anyways, it sounds great, man. It sounds great. Bass solo for Farah. You know, I don't like this song. I'm not really feeling that one out. So let's change it. You know? You know, when you're brought to reality and you're given a challenge, ladies and gentlemen, you don't just back down, all right? You don't just cower away like a lot of people do out there in this country, in this world. You attack it. You don't play the victim. You acknowledge where you're wrong. And you move. You move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a wonderful night. Check. Stop! 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 Everybody just stop. Stop right now. I was not feeling those songs just now. That was actually absolutely terrible on my part. But ladies and gentlemen, we got the trains blasting. We got rain in the house. And now, you know, everything got dark all of a sudden. Like literally and not literally, figuratively. What's the word? You know what I'm trying to say. All right. Let's try this again. All right. All right, enough of that, just risking it for the biscuit. You know, sometimes I put on a playlist. You know, Tony provides a bunch of playlists for me. These playlists that you kids call. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, sometimes it's not the way I roll, you know? Look, I'm not only a freaking super attractive hot guy, but I'm also one that is keen and has an ear to good music. And ladies and gentlemen, that was not a sound effect. That was the sound of thunder. I don't know if you guys just caught that, but it is storming. We got the weather being a paid actor today. I mean, we got the wind first, you know, blowing over chairs, and we got the thunder just sneaking a line in, just trying to get SAG credit, you know. It's a lot going on, but the bottom line is we're going to keep playing. We're going to keep trucking. That's not on. Okay, good. That's what I wanted, actually. That's awesome. But, So, I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a hook. We get a little arpeggiator. Blah, blah, blah. You know, sometimes in the 1980s, we don't study our English dictionaries, our thesauruses. We just throw them out the window, and then we just let it all out. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're gonna let the juices flow. We're gonna let the creativity flow. We're gonna hire the paid actors. The thunder. We're gonna let the thunder roll as we rock the night away. gentlemen, I want to introduce... Hold on, let me start that over. All right, everybody forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you the one and only Flamingo Caster. This song is dedicated to the mission I have tonight. The mission isn't gonna be easy, ladies and gentlemen. But it's what I gotta do. To save the city of Miami. I'm gonna have to sacrifice sometimes the people I love. But tonight I do it for the people. For the greater good. Putting myself aside. Let's record some guitar. Ladies and gentlemen, as I shred this solo, I want you to have in mind the process of me driving in my 82 T-top Camaro and thinking about the mission ahead, but having the confidence and hope that Tony and I are gonna get it done. For the city, we fight, and we bring back rock and roll. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure where it got off track there. It was kind of behind like a beat or so. But listen, it doesn't matter. We got some shreds in. We're sounding good. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is going to wrap up the stream tonight. I want you to give yourselves a round of applause as we celebrate in darkness with no lights on in here, because it was supposed to be bright outside. But listen, the weather, sometimes we can't always predict the weather. But what we can do is adapt and conquer and prevail. And that's what we did tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Let's see if we can get a little brighter. Am I looking good, ladies and gentlemen? Am I looking a little bit better? All right. I'm going to call it there for tonight's stream. Look, I got to go save the world. Listen, me and Tony's got some work to do. And unfortunately, that's gonna cut everything short. But I'm gonna make one more phone call to hear Tony here, and let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can put together. I want to thank everybody for joining in, fellow truckers, country girl, Joe, Sarah, Farah, Michelle, Vapor Vice, JJ, Cindy, Black Angel. We got everybody in the chat. That's just a sample. Looks like we got 4,000 viewers right now, so that's an all-time high. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for coming by. I'm gonna end this stream right here and now. I'm gonna make one more phone call. Whoa! I'm gonna make one more phone call. As we close out the night, one more phone call to Tony to make sure that we are on the same page and we are ready to attack the night. And Thrashers, if I don't make it out of this one, I want you to know that there's still hope to keep the 1980s alive. Tony, it's time. Tonight might be our last. Tonight might be our last. But there's no other way. I'd rather go out. When we meet at the docks at 8 p.m., you and me, we're gonna find this guy. We're gonna make a plan to go get him and lock him up. Because he doesn't deserve to be surrounded by the glory of the 1980s. So tonight, Tony, you and I will restore that hope. With the rock hero symbol in the sky that only one can answer. It's time. See you then.
Preventorius has donated PLN 10.00 and says Rikki Thrash X Kung Fury the collab we deserve.
That's right. All the collaborations is what make this world is what makes this world go round. The collaborations, the community, the door shutting in my face. Everything makes this world go round. But you know what we do? We keep trucking along. Preventorius! Thank you very much for the donation. To end the stream, I want to thank you. My name is Rikki Thrash. This is my time machine. I have come to you in your time and brought you back with me to the 1980s so that we could keep it together forever. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.